Okay, it is now 6:30 p.m., Thursday, March 21st, and I'm calling the Select Board of the Town of Newfane to order. The first order of business is the review of minutes. We have two sets of minutes, one from February the 21st, one from March 7th. So starting with the minutes of February 21st, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion of the minutes. Any additions or corrections to the minutes of February 21st?
I haven't had a chance.
Well, you can take a minute.
No, I didn't review these because I didn't get back in the box until this afternoon.
No changes were made on the 21st, but they were on March 7th
Okay.
from the last.
All right, so hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining?
Me.
We have 4 in favor, 1 abstention. The motion carries. I think that sometimes I can't tell whether a person is, everybody's saying yes, so I'm going to start asking if there are abstentions if I'm not clear. Now we have the minutes of the meeting of March 7th. Do I have a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Discussion of the minutes of March 7th. Any additions or corrections to the minutes of March 7th?
Somehow it seemed to me that on page 3 with the Planning Commission and Development Review Board,
Let me just take a look. Yes. Like this. Page 3. Planning Commission Development Review Board. Well,
and
yes.
the DRB alternates, it seemed to me that we have the alternates become members. Is that something?
Very often, if there's an opening, an alternate will.
Yeah, I thought that was, people had met and didn't somebody say that?
I think that as far as the board, that board is concerned, that is acceptable. It's a question of your board saying,
Right, and so-
okay, this is who goes where.
Yeah, I don't recall the exact, the question is really what happened
Yeah.
at the meeting. And I don't recall, does anyone have a clear recollection other than, that there were new, I think there was the thought that we would ask the alternates to serve so I think you could have
serve as alternates or
to serve
No,
on the
primary.
board to replace those who are
That's what I
leaving.
mean.
That's
So I
right.
think
I thought you said ask the people that their terms are expiring first and then go back. So I haven't gotten response.
Oh, I don't recall. I don't recall what I said.
Oh, okay.
The closest I have to a recollection is that we said we would ask the alternates if they wished to.
Because the boards had met.
Right.
That was.
Because I think we lost a couple members from those boards.
Yeah,
Right.
DRB has 2 down.
So I think it's fine to just add that we will ask the alternates if they will serve. Okay.
We did.
Okay.
And one of them, John Mariano, we asked him to move up into the open slot, and he's already accepted.
Okay, that's great. But with that, we're really just dealing with the minutes at this point of what was
And
announced.
it's the DRB also. We have
Same
those
thing.
2 move
Okay.
up.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. So the minutes have now been amended, and rather than doing it fancy, let's just say, do we have a motion on the floor? Can we have the minutes? Do we approve the minutes as amended? So all those in
Change that to as amended.
as amended. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Motion carries unanimously. Next item of business is the road foreman, road commissioners report. Todd?
Yep, the dirt road's getting pretty rough right at the moment because we started in the mud season and now it froze up again like it's winter conditions, so there's a lot of potholes, a lot of ruts. We have posted most of the dirt roads in town for mud season. And as soon as they thaw out again, we get the grader on, we'll start moving them up over. We have been hauling some stone and some sand to fill in some of the muddy spots, and that's been working pretty well, especially on the Wardsboro Road. As far as the equipment goes, the 2011 F-350's been a Duran Ford for a front dry shaft issue. That was covering warranty. The 06 went to Patriot Service. Remember I spoke last time that we were going to do the rear brakes at the shop. I checked with them, and most of the rear brakes issues were going to be covered under warranty, so we shipped it up there instead. In the 07 F-350 went to Twin State for a front axle U-joint to the bed. The self-certification for the fuel tanks is done and sent to the state. We still have to do a test on both the tanks. I'm going to get a hold of a company called Beardsley up in Springfield, come down and do that test, so we're in compliance with the state. Pat took care of that, and I'd like to thank Pat for doing that. That was very good to get that done. Quite a bit of reading involved in that. The new truck specs, I'm going to start working on the new truck specs soon. As most of the board knows, I guess Mike wasn't here, but last year we spec'd out and put it out to bid, and we didn't get the truck until the end of November, so we need to get that bid out.
That was the 2x4, right? That was a 2
Yeah, that was that 2013.
Right.
The only thing we have to do is put in the bid that we can't ship the truck until after July 1st due to the new budget. We had a complaint about a mailbox being hit on Dover Road. We went up and did what we could for the person, and basically the reason we did that for the person is she has some pretty severe health issues. We tried to help her out. We did let her know that her mailbox boards were pretty rotted, and the mailbox is actually sticking out into Dover Road. So she made a phone call back to Pat to thank the road crew for taking care of that, and she plans to move the mailbox back off the road in the spring and replace the wood that was there. Pat and I have been trying to get a hold of John Alexander to set up the meeting to go over the state aid to the town this year. And also we need to apply for a paving grant fairly soon. We need to get the paving grant, or we need to get the paving bid out fairly soon, while the price of oil is still fairly low. But we will be working on that some more. The other reason we have to get it, the sooner we get it done, the quicker we get the lines painted on the blacktop. And I would just like to say on the record that I'd like to thank the road crew for doing a great job this winter with all the storms. There's been several big storms that have lasted like 20 hours. I know the last storm we worked 18, 19 hours. There hasn't been very many breakdowns during the storms, and I just think the road crew cares about the roads, and they should recognize what they've done. They've stuck with it pretty good this winter, so
Okay.
that's all I have.
Do I have a motion to approve the road foreman's, road commissioner's report?
So moved.
Second? Do we have a second? It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. I just would begin by, from my own perspective, from the chair, thanking the road crew for the work they have done. I'd like to say this winter as though it were over, but it doesn't quite seem to be over. So, but it really has been going very well, and I happen to live on Dover Road, so I hear them go by through the night. And it's always actually a very welcome sound to hear, to know that I'm going to be able to get from place, of course, get out of my driveway, but that's a different story. But I do really appreciate it. I think the board and the town as a whole really appreciates the work that the crew has done. And I must say, in my tenure thus far as chair, I have very, very few, virtually nothing has come my way as people saying, what the hell's going on with that road crew, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
I have a couple things I just want to bring to your attention. One is, actually, Gunther had sent a note about a gravel pit that we might use. Do you want to maybe mention that now?
Well, a bunch of years ago, the town of Newfane bought a piece of property next to the school in order to prevent a commercial gravel pit to be developed. So my thought is, now that we have this good gravel pit belonging to the town of Newfane, why not Act 250 it and have it stand by for gravel that the town buys, use our own, and during non-school months go commercial on it?
I think, well, it's the town of Newfane's taxpayers, but it's the school that bought the property, not the
But
town.
the school belongs to the town of Newfane.
Right, that's what I just said, but, I think they use quite a bit of that up there for recreation, but, I mean, something we could look into, but
You mean the acreage or whatever it is?
back out where the field days used to be, I think they're using quite a bit of that area now.
Mhm.
But, I mean, the select board could talk to the school board if they wanted to. But it's pretty hard to get a pit open now. Dummerson's been going around and around and around for years with the one in Putney that they got together. Doesn't hurt to check, I guess.
Okay.
Would you be doing that, Todd?
I think it'd be a board issue, I think, if we were gonna, we'd have to be with the Newfane School Board, I would think. Be the first step, if we were gonna do something like that.
Is there any action that anyone on the board would like to recommend? Well, it doesn't appear there's any action on the floor. It is something to be aware of, and if there's an opportunity, maybe we would seize it.
Maybe we could think about it and bring it up at the next board meeting?
It-
Just,
Yeah, if
To let
there's
somebody-
new thought,
Yeah, to
then
let somebody-
please let me know and we'll put it on the agenda. The other thing, Todd, I just want to keep in your head to try to get that bob sit done this
The
spring.
what?
The bob sit, the bridge and culvert inventory
Oh, yeah.
by WRC. We really need that done
As soon as the snow goes, we can.
this spring, so just
Maybe
want to
hold
keep
each
that
other.
on in your awareness. The only other question I have is in terms of the money for the truck, the new truck that was authorized by the town meeting. I know Maureen has previously complained that we'll spend the money the second it's available, and we do have to make sure that, because the money actually comes in over the course of the year, it's not there all at once. So I would just ask that you coordinate with her to be sure that we're not.
That truck, I think, the way the article read at town meetings, we were borrowing all that money for that truck anyways, I think.
Right, that's correct. That is correct. We did put the full amount, so we may be able to do it.
Right,
Just
okay.
Okay, but I just don't want us to spend money we don't have. Okay, sounds very good. Is there any further discussion on the road foreman, road commissioners report?
I just have one little thing. I noted today that the last plowing with that, it was a beautiful snowstorm, but I understand. One of the slates
Yeah,
at
John
the
mentioned
end,
it.
is it gonna work? Okay, because I could see somebody stumbling and suing us for.
What are you referring to, Fleur?
There's a slate at the end of our walkway
I see.
here.
On the way in, we put it back in place, but of course it needs more than that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's something you would take care of. Okay, great.
That's done more
Okay,
than we-
thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion on road business here? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the road foreman, road commissioners report as written?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I abstain.
You abstain from your own report. I don't think you should support your own report. Anyway, motion passes, with one with Todd abstaining. I'm sorry, I did miss one thing. I wanted to just check back with you, Todd, on this note from Steve Ovenden about getting some information. Were you able to follow through on that and get him the information that he needed?
Don't remember any, I guess.
All right, I will send it, then I will send it to you again. So send to Todd, but you said you would get back to him with this bridges and towns and stuff. Send to
I
Todd.
may have, I don't.
All right, I'll just send you an email.
Yep.
But just don't want to lose track of it. Okay, thank you.
Is that the one, Chris, didn't we do that?
I
Is that
it
the
was
one
so
that we did Bridge
random.
14?
Maybe you did. Maybe that's why I'm asking. I don't know whether it was
I don't think we
done.
did. Remember we made a list out for that guy, for the state?
Yes,
We had Lynch Bridge.
we did.
So was this done, in
Bridge
fact?
14.
Actually, yeah.
It's-
If you hand it to Pat for a quick look, yeah, I think we did that, Pat.
So do we have a copy of that on file someplace so we can?
Remember we made a list out, sent to him, for the bridges and stuff.
I think so, but let me check. Can-
All right.
The file,
So
yeah.
I'll put a note to ask Pat. Instead of
Yeah.
asking Todd, I'll ask Pat.
If not,
Ask Pat to confirm
Yeah.
we did this. To confirm, if not, she'll do it with Todd. Okay, thank you. So this is, the date is 3/21. Okay, okay. Mark here. The next order of business, scheduled members of the public, and the first of the scheduled members of the public is Tristan Johnson about the town employee evaluation process. So Tristan, would you like to address this question?
I'd love to.
Go for it.
When I started on the planning commission, one of the things, and this is relevant to the theme, we were asked to design a position description and then post an advertisement to fill a position. And then we were asked to interview for that position and finally recommend somebody to actually fulfill the job, the responsibilities that went along with the position that we designed. And it seemed to me kind of foolish that we did all of that work and not have some role in supervising this person that we really got to know well based on a background interview and every interview and reading their CV. And so we wrote into the position description that that person would be supervised by the planning commission. And then over time it was discovered that in fact that wasn't the right way for a person to be supervised, and in fact that should be passed back to the select board. And so we no longer have that responsibility, appropriately so. And then I got thinking about the last two town meetings when the town is asked to approve a pay raise for people. And I got thinking about this question of supervision. And I realized that in no way does anyone in the town ever get any information about whether a paid town employee, paid by our taxes, is actually fulfilling what they're supposed to be doing. Nor do we know what they're supposed to be doing, nor do we know whether you're satisfied with the way they're doing what they're doing. And so what we get is a request to increase their pay, which is, probably legitimate. However, I think that it would be far more clear and then justifiable and therefore more understandable by the public if you are going to accept that responsibility, were to be able to say to the town, not only do we recommend this raise, or no raise in some cases, but we're doing it based on the evaluation of the person's performance during the past year based on the position description that they're supposed to be filling. And so I'm asking you, is that a responsibility you want to take on? And could you?
Okay, seems a reasonable question. I don't think does anyone on the board wish to respond?
Well, I think I was going to bring up later today that we've got to go back to some of the policies. We were going over these policies, and that included supervision policies. And then we got the alternate projects and whatever waylaid us. So that was something, John, beginning of last year. So it seems to me that I'm curious, are you talking what you as the planning commission did in terms of designing the job description was for the zoning administrator?
Right.
But other than that, you don't have any.
No, I don't have an axe to grind.
No,
I'm not pointing a finger.
But I'm just thinking then as a person in the public, you'd like to see the rest of this.
Right. Yeah. What we get from the public side of this, of the management of the system, is that things happen over the course of 12 months, and then we get a report at the end of the 12 months, and then there's a request to increase pay, and we get some reports about performance in some areas, but we really have no idea.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was curious to whether others would, but I will give an answer to you. First of all, I would acknowledge that this has been a problem in the town over a period of years. If you go back through the personnel files of any town employee, you will find use a fancy word, paucity of information about their evaluations, and this is a problem. And certainly I think it's a positive thing that you are bringing it to the board's attention as a problem. We need to take care of it. We have recently appointed a new the zoning administrator. Certainly that person, to be former, should be evaluated on a regular basis. The road foreman, who does sit at this table, but nevertheless we should have a written evaluation from who is his current supervisor, which is the town commissioner. That should be the road commissioner. That should go into the files. Now, as far as communicating it back to the public, that gets a little bit trickier, to be honest with you, in that it is a personnel issue, and that is something that we do in closed session, not in open session, because so that the one thing I can communicate directly to you is that our new administrative assistant has been evaluated by the board, has received and signed off on that evaluation, and has now successfully passed beyond her probationary period. To go further than that, I think then gets into things that would disclose aspects about a person who works for the town, which is a different thing. The only other employees, at least as far as I'm aware, maybe there are others that I don't know about, but I don't think so, are under the road foreman, and so we could certainly, in terms of the road foreman, ask that there be at least evaluations in each of their files, and that the town should have a right to know that they've been done, and that the select board has concluded that the people holding the jobs are performing them adequately. That does seem fair.
Yeah.
But beyond that, we can't really speak to those things.
No, clearly I was not asking for divulging of the review process, the performance evaluation, and whether someone got zeros or 4 pluses or whatever.
Right.
But the point that there is a process, that's good news. That a process is being applied, that's also good news. But I think it would be very calming to the public at the next town meeting if you were to say something about this, even in one sentence. Ex-employee did get a performance evaluation and we're satisfied, and that's why the raise. Or something to that effect.
It's a little tricky based on just how the town meeting itself is organized. I'm trying to think how, you have articles, you're certainly let's even, whether in the town meeting or not, certainly in this forum, it is totally appropriate for you to raise this question and to raise it again to say, at a future point, to say, well, I've said there's some things we've done and some things we haven't done, and to come back and say, well, now have they been done? I don't know if others would like to comment. Yes, Doris?
There's also the elected officials,
Yes.
which is different.
Yes, absolutely different.
And when you vote at town meeting, it's a recommendation of the board, but the town meeting people are supposed to vote on the elected officials' wages.
They do.
Well, I know, but I'm just clarifying that if he's thinking that elected.
No.
Okay.
This is people getting paid by my taxes, all of our taxes.
Well, so are,
The elected
Well,
officials.
there's 2 parts. So the elected ones, like the treasurer, the town clerk, and the lister,
And the
okay,
select
are
board.
paid by you, but the board has no oversight because they're elected by the people.
Right.
So
Right.
there's no evaluation there.
the evaluation is, do you
It's
vote
the
them again?
people.
You vote them in again.
No, I fully understand that those at the voting box have a chance to do the performance
Right.
evaluation. I'm not talking about the...
Yeah.
You're talking about employee
I just wanna
employees.
clarify.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think I personally, and I'm just speaking for myself, think that your point is well taken, and that we should pay attention to it and make sure that proper evaluations are done.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I have a couple more comments. I think I would like to see this form that has been there. It seems to me it's from about 1960 or maybe 70s when I would have first started to teach. I think it's got to be updated. It's just got these kind of casual categories. So I'd like to see us work on clear evaluation form. And then there was one other thing that I'd jotted down, but to be able to use that, I mean, we need to come to a consensus as a board to say, let's improve this to see what can be done. Oh, I know the other thing is that we do vote as voters on the pay increase for the employees. What we don't get is such a clear delineation, so there's probably no way in your town report that you could have seen that the road crew and the assistant to the select board also got that 3%, because those salaries are just lumped. I mean, Todd's salary includes his overtime salary, so he looks like he's making, way too much money. But you wouldn't know whether it was overtime salary or a pay increase. That would be the difference. So it might behoove us to kind of delineate, this is what they get per hour, and then this is, and yeah, this is what they made, but it included the overtime.
Well, I do believe that the question was raised at the last meeting, and that I did state that there was a 3% raise
Across the board.
across the
Sure.
board.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I think
Yes.
one thing as this goes forward is that privacy must be paramount.
Right.
Yes.
There was a time when a number of salaries were published in the town report. That's no longer done, and it's probably for very good reasons.
Thank you.
I think that a raise, if the select board or whomever has the authority to make a recommendation for budget purposes, say, we think this person should get a raise of the same as everybody else, 3%, or whatever the case may be, that is an indication of some form of evaluation.
Yeah, I agree.
But we do put salaries in the.
We put the total salaries for, but
Well,
across.
you go with your administrative system, it's assistant, it's column by column, what they got last year, the actual, the.
So you could derive them. You could derive them. That is not something we've been advised not to do. But I understand. We do want to the extent it's possible, because it's very difficult where there's one person in a position. And
Right.
okay, thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
The second item on the scheduled members of the public is the Newfane Hill Committee, Common Committee. Ed, I think you were to some extent, well, let me just let you speak for yourself, and I'm sure you.
Well, number one, what were you after from? I was,
Okay, so you do want to hear. It was, as we go through in the organizational meeting, there's sometimes it'll come up, is this committee a functioning committee? Has it, because nothing came before the board from that committee. So it's simply to ask the question, is it functioning? And if so, great, wonderful. And what are you doing? That would be nice to know.
in this case, that's a good idea, because we should be evaluated. And, you know, this is one committee that we always invite you to it. This is your the town's property, and you are responsible for the town's property. We always invited the selectmen to come to the meeting. Well, it turns out we didn't have a meeting last year, I guess. Is that correct?
I'm not aware of it. I'm not aware of it.
I can't seem to find out from any of the members. And I'm not the one that takes care of the minutes. I'm the chairman, which I'm trying to not do anymore. I'm not able to handle that anymore. And last year I didn't want to, and I guess it fell apart because of that. And several of us had problems with sickness in the family or something.
Sure.
And so that's what's happening. Only one left, I guess, of the committee this year. Yeah, you didn't. It left last year, and I didn't even know that. And that was Bud Keller. And I called him up today, and he is not interested in going on anymore. And he's got similar problems to mine. And so we are going to deal with it that way. But what I did, I called a bunch of people up, including Brian Hesselback and Bill Gunther, the two that should be involved in this if there's anything being discussed. And I didn't hear back from Bill Gunther, but Brian is busy tonight. He's at a regional meeting of the...
Do you mean Brian or Bruce?
Bruce, I'm sorry, Bruce. Yeah, Bruce Hesselback. Chairman of the
Right, that's a conservation.
There's a regional meeting of the Conservation Commission, so he isn't here tonight.
So if there are any, two things I would say, Ed. One is, if you do get a meeting together, I would very much appreciate your telling the full board, and hopefully one of us could attend. The more notice we get, the more chance there is of that. And the second thing is, if you need any help in terms of, you know, you have somebody in mind, but you don't want to you could always contact Pat, and Pat would be happy to reach out, and if it takes 3 or 4 phone calls, she would be happy to pursue it and
This
get
is our
completed.
downtime anyway. We wouldn't have our first meeting until after the snow goes.
Uh-huh.
And that's what I said to everybody that I talked to, including others, which there's some historical people in town that should be involved and are involved more than some of our the
Yeah.
committee. And maybe some of those should be on the committee
They should.
too.
Sure.
So what I suggested to each one that I made the call, that the only thing I'm gonna discuss with you as far as asking what to do is that we would set up a meeting as soon as possible in the spring, which would be at the earliest late April probably.
Great.
And if you wanna hold on to that committee the way it is now and
Sure.
don't make any, and then.
But we'd love to add, I'd love to add
And
if
of
there.
course, we're gonna invite again the selectmen and all, if you have more than the quorum, you just have to warn the meeting.
No
That's all.
problem.
Simple,
Great.
we've done that lots of times.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, how much
so-
land is there up there? What are the committee of?
How many?
How much land?
What is the land
Well, the
that,
land-
tell us a bit
okay,
about what,
What started it was Bud Keller had a deed of that for some reason or other. He lives right behind it,
behind what?
behind the common.
Behind the commons, okay.
And he came to me and asked me he said he's thinking of going to the court, going and getting the town busy on honoring that deed. The deed stated that it was passed to the town with the requirement that they operated, and it's not verbatim, you got the copy of the deed in your file somewhere.
Right.
And we gave you a copy of, in previous years. But it said to maintain it as a common. Now, what the definition of a common is, we came up with what ideas we already had, and we'd like to go keep on. Of course, the logging operation delayed us. That's one thing that was. And so there's a big cleanup that we need for the paths, which was the next step, and maybe extend the lawn a little bit more around the main marker. And the biggest part was that the sign was going to be replaced. Margaret Stearns was working on it, and she's got a design. I think we gave it to the board, the selectmen, if you don't have a copy.
I don't recall.
Within the last, how many years?
2 years.
Two. I think
okay.
it's in the files in there. I recall seeing that.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good. But anyway, whatever is ours is yours. So if you don't have something, you're supposed to have it. And that's where evaluation comes in.
Okay.
Anyway, on the signpost, I discovered it with Bucky Pelsu. By the way, he's not interested anymore. He's one of them that isn't interested anymore. But he and I took the sign down up there last year at some point, and because we were afraid that a pine branch, closed pine branch, could fall on it, and it was ready to go to pieces. So we put it in Jack Reed's garage right across the road, and it's still there. And we'd like to get working on these people. Now I'm talking about the history people are Carolyn Coleman, Laura Bacon, of course Margaret Stearns, but they're still Danny Brooks.
Yes.
He's very interested too. And in fact, maybe he should be on the committee, since he's not on the other again. If he'd want to, I don't know if he would. I always called him up for every meeting anyway. But these people and others should be involved in that. That's about it.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd like to keep it going.
Good.
Most of the members want to keep it going, but it has to be revised. We have to have a new chairman and whatever else, different members. But here's a couple that are very good prospects. They're young and healthy. So things like that.
Good.
I got a
So,
question.
Go ahead.
You said that there needs to be like brush cleanup and trail work or that kind of stuff?
Well, in
This-
paths we're gonna make to the various
Yeah, because
sites.
this
And-
summer, Newfane has the ability to have probably up to 4 different teams of the Vermont Youth Corps, Conservation Corps, and they need tasks to do.
Okay,
So that might be something I'll work with Marie Caduto on, but they do trails, they do paths, they
Yeah.
do.
Okay, great. So maybe we can actually make some progress and make it nicer. That'd be great. Okay.
Pete is one I was gonna call and forgot. Sorry, Pete. But you are always invited too. But did you want to have anything to say, Pete?
This is the original establishment.
Yeah.
Top of the town.
Yeah, I
Oh,
got it.
you know the person that has,
Yeah, Doris?
I think Mike asked about how many acres it is, and I think
oh, it's 6 acres,
6.
approximately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
That's all right up on the top of the hill right there.
Right, yeah. There's monuments up there and markers on various properties,
Or
which is
whole.
another thing.
That was the original center of town.
Yeah.
Imagine moving.
So if I could ask, are we done with that?
Yeah,
Okay, could I ask just one more question about the selectmen since I haven't just taken
no.
markers on different properties?
Yes, go ahead.
Maybe no maintenance on that, but you know that triangle on the intersection of
Spring Hill.
Spring Hill Road and Newfane Hill Road? There's a little triangle and some owners there are maybe sharing mowing it or something. Is it something the town could do? It's, wow, have Mark do?
Yeah, he's right there
Instead of-
doing the common anyways.
Yeah, he's right there.
Wouldn't take him 5 minutes.
And could we have that, instead of having these owners do it, because some of them, it could be a headache for them.
So this is, it's our land, it's
Yeah,
town
it's
land.
not a very big piece.
And who directs Mark? Do you direct Mark? But I mean, individually. I understand we do, but does any one of us?
I contacted
Okay,
when things
fine.
need to be done.
Fine, fine,
Yeah.
good.
He comes out, he's paddling.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's
But
not a
Pat,
very big piece.
if you would,
Yes, I'll
Um,
ask Mark.
you might need a little help from Todd, obviously knows exactly what you're talking
Mark
about.
knows
so-
it is. Well, I think so.
Yeah.
No problem.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will take care of that. We will take care of that.
So John, that seems to be a consensus of the board to have that done, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is town property, it
Right,
doesn't
but-
need but I would agree,
no,
at least for
yeah.
minutes purposes, it certainly we don't need a formal motion,
Right,
but
right.
it is a consensus of the board that he should be asked to do so. Okay, the next order of business is the Town Office Improvement Committee. And I have this on my sort of thing before, but this is scheduled members of the public. So Priscilla and Gunther, do you want, either of you or both of you wish to talk about what's happened so far and where you're at, and then we will go forth from there.
Hi, everybody.
Where are you? How come you're not up here? What the heck happened? How did you get off? The parole board let you off? I don't understand.
Much darker over here
Well,
than
that's
it is
over there.
there.
That's intentional.
Yeah.
Keep them-
So, Gunther and I have put together a committee, which we would like to have be officially appointed by
Mhm.
the select board, and it consists of Mike Granger, Pete Van Loan, Dennis Wiswall, Gunther Garvey, and Priscilla Cotton.
Mhm.
And our goal, to begin with, is to develop a plan for the town office improvements, which we will propose to
Yeah. Great. I did a little research on this just to make sure I knew what, we need to really formally accept this up as a committee, as a motion. And in terms of what it's first, before we get to who the members are, what the number of members are, and then we can appoint the members.
So you think they
So the way I wrote it out, just for the sake of simplicity, that the select board will establish a committee titled the Town Office Improvement Planning Committee. with a minimum of 5 members to a maximum of 7 members. Okay? Appointed by the select board for the purpose of proposing a plan or plans. I don't want to hold you to that. You may decide that there are alternatives and you want to present more than one. It's up to you. Plan or plans for improving the town offices, including rough cost estimates, if you would, for each plan. Rough. I'm not saying detailed, but just so we know a little bit what we're looking at. And that this plan will be proposed to the select board for its consideration in some period of time. I thought we should set a time. I put 3 to 6 months. I don't know what's a reasonable period from your perspective. Let's say, if we say within 6 months.
Sure.
Okay. Does that sound reasonable to those of you who have been talking together about organizing it as a motion that we would put before the board?
Yeah.
So, would someone make a motion to that?
So moved. And Pat, I guess you just have to get.
Yeah, get the exact, either off the tape or off this. And is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Since you have named the members, I personally don't see any reason we couldn't go ahead and appoint those as members right here and now.
I move to appoint Mike Granger, Pete Dennis, because it looked like Putt, Dennis Wiswall, Gunther Garvey, and Priscilla Cotton to the Town Office Improvement Committee.
Improvement plan.
I'll second.
They won't actually do the improvement themselves. Okay. All right.
You go the other direction.
We're capable of doing that ourselves. So that's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those. Is there discussion of the membership? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. So the committee is established, and you have your members. Ed?
I forgot another thing.
If it's not about the town offices, could you hold for 1 second?
Sure.
Because we're not done with
I
the
thought
town
you were done
office.
with that.
No, we're done with the motion, but I just have a couple things I want to make sure the committee's aware of. I'm just handing to you guys, this is from Colin Means about weatherizing from WRC. And the second is simply a suggestion from one of our town residents, Henry.
copy of that.
He's not.
Just so that
He's not a resident.
I do
he's not
have
a resident.
previous
Well, all right, a former resident, whatever he is. He sent us a letter, and I thought you guys should have it.
Oh, it's not Bergman. Oh,
No, it's
handwriting
Henry
is different.
Pinckney.
Okay, that's all I wanted to do. Is there any further discussion about the Town Office Improvement Committee?
I'd
Okay.
just like to encourage you to move as fast as possible so that if we.
Meeting on Wednesday.
No, but if we get things done, because we still have the water in the basement. And it's too
Yeah, we
big.
didn't think that would be gone.
Yeah.
How much are we being paid?
Pete? Okay, yeah.
It's
Come on, it's a planning
More than I
Zero.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you not
And,
enthusiastic about this? You were
I'm,
like,
yeah, no.
why?
Well, that's just our general
What are you doing?
statement.
Just the whole building, the whole place, the lot and everything?
Oh, gosh. We're gonna start with the building.
Building, yeah.
I mean, 'cause one thing I'd like to see is that white fence gone. I think there's be a lot better way to make it look a lot nicer up front and that fence up here.
That's-
Well,
I get that.
you know, I think.
Number one.
I even offered last year to help take it
And I
down and
brought it
fix it
up
up
and-
through there. But
We said no. But
All right, well, you know, it's independent
You
of
can
this
bring up
committee.
the
You know,
Yeah.
something like taking down a fence, we can decide.
I just thought, look some landscaping along the front or something, make it look a little
Yes.
nice. I mean,
There
that's the first thing you see when you drive up.
there are daylilies on the other side of the fence.
Yeah, no. But I think you could, do it more instead of just someone threw a bunch of seeds up through there one time. You can plant it so it look more.
Sure.
But
I think we may not want to wait until they've.
No, I was wondering if they're looking
Bring
at
that
the
up.
whole town office, like the yard and the building, just the building, or what they're looking at.
That's a good, fair question. We didn't specify. I think it would be useful if you would look at it as a kind of more globally making the whole, including the grounds, because, you know, I think it does make sense.
Right.
In
I think
due
that we're
time.
going to tackle the problem areas
Structures.
first.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, if you do the drain,
Starting the
you're gonna have to be digging out there
Right,
anyway.
so you might as well fix things up on the outside. So think of the outs, think big.
Well, who knows? We might present you with some interesting plans.
But I think the answer to your question, Priscilla, is I think we are excited about it. We want to see
I'm
it
just giving you a
happen.
hard time
Yeah.
because it's.
Because you're on that side of the fence. Yeah.
You're now throwing darts instead of being.
Okay. But I appreciate that you've gotten it moving, Doris.
I believe in reference to what Mike was saying, there are some additional landscaping plans that are in the file that I think Priscilla worked on at one time. We're gonna put a garden out in the back. And
Huh.
we worked on, that had to do with dedication to Janice Litchfield.
Okay.
And it's never been done.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody
Right,
asked
so
me about
that
There
should
is,
really be.
there is
I think-
something already in the file about that.
Okay. I think that really should be included in your thinking of your charge, is to think about the, not just the physical inside, but the total picture.
And we need to realize that the garden club planned and planted and
Yes.
takes care of the garden. So
Okay.
it might be good to bring in members of the garden club. I mean, we're the ones that
When you get to that.
maintain all of the weeding.
17 years
Maybe
from now.
Mike.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for bringing things
Yes.
that
We
I'm
almost
very
met this
excited
week,
that
but
you're
we
getting.
got a snowstorm.
No, don't give us the
We don't let you know
little
when.
excuses.
That's right.
Already, they haven't even started, they're already making
Right.
excuses.
Well,
Okay.
believe it or not, I have ice cream in the car.
All
It's
right.
great seeing all you guys.
We got
Well, it won't get in this weather.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it, bring it in.
You're bringing it in for us?
Bringing it in, right?
Yeah, come
See
on.
you all.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you, Priscilla. Okay, Ed, now, what did you want to
Okay,
say?
I'm a town energy coordinator, and not a very good one. And I think it's a pretty important
You seem energetic to me.
position, and I think you should try to think about having somebody,
Do you?
and that could be connected with building, could even be connected with this building, that recommendations from somebody that, and that in fact was a concern of mine a couple of years ago. I was saying to the selectmen, I'm not gonna be an energy coordinator anymore unless you drain under here and get the water out of them. That's the only safe way, in my estimation, and that's why but I'm just not able to take it on
Okay.
anymore. And
Okay.
all.
That's, and thank you for telling us that. Now, while we're all here, does someone have a concrete suggestion of someone who, the concrete is, only just kidding. But a suggestion of someone who might be a reasonable person who might want to be willing to take something like that on. We're really open to suggestions, and I'm obviously including members of the board if you have a thought of who might be someone to approach to take that on.
What do they do?
Hmm?
What's the energy thing?
So tell us a little about what the position
All
involves.
kinds of energy, namely recommendations for local people to improve their energy efficiency in homes and so forth. But go to meetings, and I get emails all the time, and it's just too much for me to go to some of these meetings that are in this area.
Mhm.
You don't have to go far, but we have something going on.
But
basically,
finds out the information and then tries to disseminate it
energy
to,
efficiency is a thing.
because there are things we could put on our website, for example, about to advise homeowners of how they could improve it, or links and
Yeah,
various
and-
things we could
And
do.
also, through that these organizations in Montpelier, they might be able to get grants,
Yeah.
and that's the
Energy.
other thing.
A couple of months ago, I attended the energy efficiency one
Mhm.
on behalf of the board
Right.
at the Newburgh Fire Station, and they no longer have for homes any money, but they do have for a building like this. And we pretty much did the insulation in the attic up here based on that, and then we had the grant But they went down in our basement and said, until we get the rotted sills out of there, they're not going to do anything. So it just proverbially keeps coming back to that. But I'm just trying to think of somebody, you know, if Joe DeFelice hadn't just left, I might suggest him. It would be nice to get somebody who's, you
I
know,
don't know. Mike Granger, I know, is pretty interested in energy, about saving things and stuff. I don't know if he'd ever think of something like that.
it might be good.
Well, Pat, would you at least try Mike and see if he would be interested in serving as the? I mean, it really is. It's not a ceremonial position. It is a very important one.
Yeah.
Doris.
There is a description of a town energy
Right.
coordinator, and I think you should look at that first, or let
Let
whoever
the
you're
person,
talking to
right.
about that.
Sure.
This is what we're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. We have that in the town. No, we have we have a file. That's
Right.
the file we went through that you gave us
Yeah.
when we went through the positions in the organizational meeting.
That who's who.
So if when you talk to Mike, or if there's another person, if that doesn't work out, then so you could send them a little email saying this is what the position entails. Great. Thank you. The next order of business is any unscheduled members of the public. Are there any unscheduled members of the public who would like to speak? Gunther?
I have a concern. For lack of a better word, rumor has it that the school is looking to borrow $200,000 to $800,000 to do all sorts of things. What we have to remember is that the school is part of the town, and that the select board is in charge of money in the town. So that they've got to be totally involved in whatever the school wants to do, which means somehow the school board and the town select board cannot meet on the same night like tonight. So that you can go to the school board meeting and participate in the decision and hopefully avoid severe conflicts. The other thing is, if they do borrow $800,000 and the town has to borrow $200,000 for the truck, and the building committee comes in and needs some money, what is our credit line and what is the best way to use that credit line? If the school goes and gets $800,000, the town suddenly needs $300,000, but the banks say, hey, whoa, enough is enough. Where do we go? So this whole thing has to be completely coordinated from the beginning.
This was given out at the Newbrook Elementary School budget vote.
I have to admit I'm having a little problem with this in terms of the select board's role. My understanding is that we really are separate entities and we have separate budgets. And we do not control their budget, they do not control our budget. I do agree with you that it is a real problem that they're sometimes calling meetings. We've had meetings on first and third Thursday for years, and that they're calling me. I think that's very unfortunate, and I'm certainly willing to contact I guess it's Kim, about to really discourage that. Beyond that, we have, this is not our, other than as citizens of the town, it is not our direct, we do not have any vote whatsoever other than individuals to raise our hands for what the school budget should be, and we have a heck of a lot on our plate, so I'm not anxious to add things that really aren't. On the other hand, I appreciate your bringing it to our attention, and I am certainly happy to make a call to Kim to ask that it really is a problem, because it does mean that whether it's ourselves or the public, it's not only for ourselves, but for you who are all here, you aren't at the school board meeting either. So it is a problem, and I'm certainly willing to at least make a call to ask. But as far as entering into the, now, and as far as borrowing the money, so far, I mean, God willing, I have to say, we've not had problems borrowing money. I understand what you're saying, and it's a reasonable argument in terms of the school board. In terms of the truck, remember that this is a collateralized loan. So this is not simply line of credit open to this is a collateralized, the collateral being the truck. So it's a little different situation from we just want to borrow money abstractly. And in terms of your town offices, I think we're going to have to think about how that's going to be financed if you're going beyond the what's already been budgeted by the town.
My major concern is that we only have one source.
I understand your thought. I understand it completely. I just realize our limitations in terms. No, I don't know if others have anything to say on that subject.
I'd almost think that's probably quite a ways off anyways, and it's just they're just talking about it right now.
Oh, the town office, yes. Oh, no,
And all this stuff here with the school.
Oh, I don't know
We
what.
hired an engineer or something.
Right, I mean, it all goes out and then they have to put it up to, it'd all go out to a town vote anyways, right?
Yes,
I think
it
that's
has to be
just-
voted. They can't do anything without a true vote.
I don't think you'll see anything happen till the town meeting, I would think. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I think it is the town voters that vote that budget or that bond or that project. And I mean, I think it would be important for them to know what's happening on this side
What
of the
the total
table
picture
and
is,
what's
yeah.
happening. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So-
And in that sense, I particularly applaud your bringing it to our attention.
Yeah.
So, and to keep it surfacing, but I also don't want us to try to overreach our authority. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next order of business is I omitted something from the agenda. It does not require a decision, but I do want to bring it to the board's attention. It was just an error on my part. Maureen, our treasurer, had asked for which reports we might wish. And I'm not going to, what I'd like to do is just raise it now to the board to think about between now and we'll put it as a regular agenda item on the next board meeting of what reports would we like, one on a one-time basis, what would we like on a monthly basis, just to be some of the initial things I had thought about and which I will bring up as we kind of discuss what we really need to know from the treasurer to feel we're in control of things is I would like a specific bank account breakdown because I understand we have multiple bank accounts and I don't really understand that, and I know Neil had some trouble understanding, Bucky had some trouble understanding that, how those are tied to specific funds, what our fund balances are. I think we probably need a monthly fund balance report as well as the P&L that we get, the profit. We get the expenses and the revenue, but we don't get fund balances normally. And what the timing of our expected education payments are, to the extent that the treasurer knows them.
Right.
And I would, now that the treasurer and the delinquent taxes are the same person, I would like a regular report on the standing of delinquent taxes. Those are just some things I've thought of. But I would like us to have a discussion, and the public obviously is involved to the extent they wish to be, but I'd like the board members in particular to give some thought to what would really help us to feel in greater control of the town's monies.
So you're gonna bring this up at another?
I'll put it on the agenda for next meeting, and I'm asking you now to kind of think about it. What would be helpful? What would you really want to know beyond? We do get, and you should have in your boxes the P&L for this, the current expenses and revenue, and I do really suggest reading it carefully and looking through and seeing if there's anything that catches your eye of why is this that, whatever it is, and feel free. And what Maureen has always said is that if we have a question, if we will give it to her, she likes to have some advanced knowledge of what it's going to be. But if you find something, you say, why is this? Then we can always ask her and say, why is this $40,000? What is it? Or why is this out of whack, or whatever it may be. So I'm just putting that out there for you. Okay. And as I say, I will put it on the agenda for next week. Next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to old business, and that brings us to Chris, to you. Because what that brings us to is the first item on the old business. I'm sorry, I skipped something important. Town meeting follow-up. There are a couple things I'm aware of that we should follow up. I think that it's important that, number one, the town be aware of, and that, number two, that we follow up on if they were that happened in the meeting. The first was the issue of minutes, where there was questions raised about the minutes, accurately raised, I would say.
Or raised about the accuracy.
Well, about whatever. There were some valid questions, as it turns out, about the things that weren't exactly as they should have been. And what was thought was that this now, how does this work? It did seem a little strange because we review them once a year, and that doesn't make much sense. And as the research has shown, minutes should be approved within 7 days by a member of what are the Senate? The moderator, the BCA.
It's just basically BCA.
BCA plus moderator. And Gloria, have you arranged to have them read and approved? Is that what you had sent me?
As in this year's?
This year's, yes.
They're doing a final reading of it, and so it's Deb and Fred Bacon. So they've had them, they've given me feedback on them, and they're doing a final read through, and then they'll be signed.
Okay. And just to have them be really, I think the things that's really easy to think is okay, and then get closer is that a lot of the numbers are really easy to get. I got confused, I admit that, about those numbers. So make sure that they're really right on. Okay. The second thing is I know that we had one non-binding resolution, which was, but I don't know if there were any others. The one I'm aware of was the one on my cell tower letters. Was that the only one? And there was a non-binding resolution to disseminate that letter, and to basically to our elected officials and to the PSB. And I just think we should follow up on that. And so I'm raising it, and I don't. I guess it should be a motion.
It should.
And so I would
make a motion that the board allow John to disseminate that cell tower letter as the public has requested.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
And it's going to be then on behalf of
the town of Newfane, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Is it possible to assign a date to that letter?
We would, I guess, assign it when we send it.
No, I mean the date that you wrote it. Your letter of such and such a date.
I could find it. I could find the date.
Okay.
As long as it would be acceptable, I'd say leave it blank for now, and I'll fill it in. Okay. So we have a motion on the table with the amendment, if you will, that we put the date of the letter to the editor. It was actually an op-ed as opposed to a letter to the editor in this case, but the date it was published originally. And is there all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, passes unanimous. Okay. The next, now, Chris, we come to old business, and very old business, our struggle to get it reimbursed, and our struggle in the first case here with the HMGP buyout. So could you first of all just explain to the to the public to be clear what it is we're talking about here.
HMGP, okay, it's a hazard mitigation grant program that was made available, and the town actually sought out for the benefit of property owners on the Dover Road, up off Dover Road, which would be Hickey Road, and then on Stratton Hill Road. And these were homes that were either totally missing after the flood or were very severely damaged. We did get the grant, and there's two portions of this grant. One is the 75% is the hazard mitigation, and then a community development block grant came in for the other 25%. So technically this is classified as 100%. So the function of the town is we will facilitate these grants to these properties, which means that it's our job to make sure that every I is dotted and T is crossed as far as how we proceed with the buyouts of these properties, starting with appraisals, which are going to happen next. So far to date, the property owners have been notified. We've had a kickoff meeting in the town, and we have forwarded all the paperwork to initiate these start of the grants. The current position we're in right now is to obtain a property appraiser.
And
I don't know if have we got
We do
it?
have bids.
One.
We
There you go.
we have a bid.
So we're moving along here, and these appraisers will go out to these properties, and they'll appraise the properties pre-flood to determine a valuation of what these people lost. We will meet with the property owners again. They will review those appraisals. They'll say we accept or we have issues, and we'll work the mediation out. If everything's a go on this, we present those, and via an attorney, which the town will hire, will essentially buy out these properties in perpetuity. They will remain green, non-buildable land sites. Once they're fully demolished and cleaned up, one of them, there's not much left of the land.
I just want to pause on that little thing because I started waiting for it. We are responsible also for doing the demolition, and we get reimbursed for it.
We literally facilitate the grant. We will hire the contractors. We'll put that portion out to bid. So right to green grass, we have to run this thing through. The stages are the appraisals, the property owner's acceptance of those appraisals, the attorneys actually procuring the titles and making sure there's clear title, and the demolition and green to the property. Then we submit for the full amount of the money agreed upon. Go ahead.
It seems to have changed, which doesn't surprise me. But when they first presented this hazardous mitigation, they said that it was going to be, from FEMA, 75% of the value of the property the day before the flood.
Right, that's what you said.
Yeah.
But how can they, I mean, if they go there now and appraise the property, are they going to be appraising it in the same way that some people get their homes appraised and the values down here, so they come to us and say, you know...
Doris?
I have assessment cards from before,
Right.
and I have assessment cards for after. So I would expect that the appraisal people would come and get the assessment cards, which I think you may have on file anyway.
Yeah.
And they would look at what was there beforehand. We have pictures
Yeah, that's right.
of what was there, and we had dimensions and what the value of the property was. And I would think that the appraisers would come and get those, because I have them, remember when we did the tax abatement, all those before and after things are in those folders, so.
Part of the bid proposal for the appraisers is that their job is to become and remain independent
Right.
and try to formulate the pre-flood condition at the time market value, not what the market value might be now if it's currently dropping or increasing. And that's what we would expect to come back to us, is that valuation. Again, the property owner does have right of appeal on that. So, you know, we may have a little up and down going on there depending on how, you know, how the property owner feels, really, because they're going to be the ones releasing the title. And at any given point, they can pull out of this process. So it's completely voluntary on their part there.
Except they don't have their house anymore. And
That's right.
they're in a heck of a... I would just want to say for myself, and this is really just speaking for myself, that the one thing that really gets me about this is that the way this was originally presented to us was FEMA's going to pay for these, FEMA's going to cover it, and then the state through CDBG, which is I guess is other federal funds. Actually, it's all federal funds, and they'll take care of it and they'll demolish it. And then it turns out the town has to do every single thing, and then get reimbursed if we're lucky and haven't done anything wrong in the process. And I find it appalling that that's actually how it works. That's just my personal opinion.
And then the town ends up with the land.
Yes, the town does end up with the land.
That's the only problem
We
I have
can't
with
do
it.
anything with it.
That's the problem I have with that. I can't see the town owning a bunch of little parts in between other people's houses, an acre here, 2 acres here, or something like that, because, I mean, you know as well as I do, Quick's all of a sudden is green, pretty quick somebody's going to want to put a picnic table on, they want to camp out on it or whatever. So you might have 2 houses here and here, you got 1 lot in between. Anybody can go on that because
Well, they can't.
There are deed restrictions
There
that
are
will be
restrictions.
contained on this.
They can't put up anything. And
Well, I know they can't, but they could go on it and sit, or they
No
could
question
ride their
about it.
bicycle around it, or whatever they want to do. And I mean,
Which
you
is,
got people in between houses, which I think there's 1 or 2 of them like that. I mean,
It's too bad those people can't buy
I mean,
it.
I would think it could go to the neighbors' property owners. At least the town would still collect tax off it.
Could still put the deed.
Maybe not be able to ever build on it again, but
well, and that's one of the major things is that they're right now in the floodplain, so they would never be able to get.
right. But at least if it went to join the neighbor's property or something, the town would at least collect a little bit of something back off from it.
Well, actually, Mike, if you've thought about it right now, the property owner, any one of these properties, if the abutter on either side or in the middle decided, gee, I'd like to make an offer to that guy. Of course,
Right.
there's no house,
Buy
there's
it
no
first,
viable.
right.
So that's kind of the problem with it. So the only mechanism that the federal and state say is, okay, you know, we want to make sure this is done. We're giving you the federal money on this. It's all taxpayers. You guys are going to be the arm that makes sure this is taken care of properly, and we'll make sure that it's in perpetuity, because that's the rules if we give you the money.
Right. And in theory, the landowner next could buy it, but unfortunately, in the way it's worked out, the price would be ridiculously high because that would.
Well, like I said, the only problem I see
pre-flood.
is when they have it, once the town owns it as a piece of property, you're gonna have all kinds of people wanting to do something.
Yeah, that's
Well, they
true.
might,
That's
they
a
might,
possibility.
but we don't. We're down that road.
Right.
You know, we're down that road
And then I
already.
think about these particular parcels, like you just got a half an acre, and then you've got, you know, it's a good little piece, but and then another one up Stratton Hill Road is just,
There's very little
there's
left.
very little left, so.
And in one case,
And
it's
then
limited.
Hickey
The land
Farms.
was gone as well as the house. So I think that the appraiser's gonna have trouble finding a place to stand. But
Yeah.
I understand your concern. Okay, so that's moving along. And then we do, the next piece was opening the bids. We do have 1 person bidding, 1 appraiser for $350 each. That's what we got.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm handing that to you and Pat, really, to
Okay.
handle going forward.
Do we move to accept the 1 bid?
Yes, I
actually,
think we probably do.
Let me make a quick
We do.
version on this.
Yep, yes, we do.
Pat, did you talk to Stan?
He handed
He
those
was
in
in.
today. We
Okay.
didn't open them up until just before the meeting.
Is Stan aware that he's got to follow the requirements of the grant on this?
How was it put out?
I think we put it
He
out to
asked for a
bid that way.
specific form. Did they have a specific form that
Okay.
they had to have? And I sent them what was on the document, you know, what they had to do.
Okay.
So
Why don't
they
we-
will be in touch with us again.
I think before we make a motion on
So
this
why don't we
one,
let Chris study that
Yeah.
thing and feels that it's valid.
It's fine. We could authorize, so let's,
Right.
why don't we put a motion, if somebody would, you wanna just move that, Todd?
I'll make a motion that we have Chris Stroop take a look at this one bid, and if it meets the criteria,
Jim,
that we authorize her to be able to accept that bid on behalf of the board.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay. The next item is the Wiswall Hill culvert bids.
So this is part of this HMGP buyout, and the town actually received the grant for these Wiswall Hill culverts. This is an upgrade of the size and so on of these. So what we need to do, or what I'd like to do tonight, is open up to have Pat advertise to bid for contractors to replace those culverts according to the grant agreement. So they have to follow the scope of work, and Pat, I have it all typed out for her.
Okay.
Okay, with all your attachments. And if we get that out to bid, we probably ought to do it for maybe 2 weeks.
So we can open them.
Or that's what I was going to ask you, Todd. Do you think maybe because of the weather, they won't be doing them anytime in the next month, will they?
Putting them in?
Yeah,
You can't get in the water anyway.
that's what. Yeah.
April 15th.
So So should we make it the first meeting of, is 2 weeks sufficient is the bottom line on
I
that?
want his opinion. I don't.
What, do you have plans on them or something, or just telling them what
These
they
their plans? I thought Dan had plans, yeah.
There, you know, that's what I was asking. And yeah, I saw the scope of work, which Pat has. I see the sizing on the culverts, which is in that too. I didn't know if there was any plans.
I think Dan has plans, so we should really get a hold of him.
Let's check on that.
But maybe we should give ourselves a little more time,
Okay.
rather, since we can't get the work done
Right, it's not like
anyway.
it's a big tear to get
So,
done, so.
so that set rather our first week meeting in April rather than the
For
next
the
one.
bids to come in, or for?
No, for us to look it over and get the bids ready to go out.
Oh well, maybe we could
Because
get
we
the
really need
bids
to get a
ready.
hold of Dan. Dan worked on that.
But maybe we could.
Well,
let's
I want to
see.
prepare Pat to get the bids set up for advertisement, okay?
Okay.
Because those contractors are going to need to come in and procure from her whether there's a set of plans and what the requirements are under the bid. And because it's a federal bid, we want to make sure these guys, you know, follow the track exactly.
But I think we could do a very similar thing we did on the last one, which is to authorize
Right.
Chris to set the timing on the bids based on when she has the full information is ready.
Yeah,
to
I would
bid.
just really get a hold of Dan, because I know he's working that quite a bit. So.
Okay, I will do that.
So could we have well, we still need a motion. That way she can go ahead, if she's ready, she can go ahead and put in the advertisements. So could someone make such a motion?
Quite sure.
No?
Do you want to see
All right.
Chris and all?
We could also simply
Yeah.
wait till our next meeting. That's
Well,
also
I-
okay.
Well, I'd almost probably pay to wait to make sure you had the plans.
This is
or
great.
something like that.
Why don't we
Put it
just
out
hold
the bid,
off
they're gonna come in on a set of plans
Okay.
and nothing there.
There you
Fine
go.
with me.
Yeah,
Fine
we'll
with me.
hold till the next
Fine with
meeting, and
me.
then we'll prepare to
Let's
do
put it
that.
back on the agenda.
Just
for
keep
the
it on
next-
the agenda for the next meeting, okay?
You really need plans to go with it.
Yeah, you
Not to
do.
know if they're bidding on.
No, I agree. I was just thinking you could authorize
A
Chris
lot
to
of
go
it's
ahead
got to
and
do with slopes
advertise.
off the
when
ends
she's
of
got
the
it.
culverts and
Yeah.
headers and all kinds
Okay,
of stuff.
no problem.
Page-
The next is just the fact that the Hunter Bridge bid opening was postponed to April 4th. So we will be actually opening those bids on April 4th, at the April 4th meeting for the Hunter Bridge, Brook Bridge. And the next is our Lynch Bridge bid selection. And now we opened the bids at the last meeting. We're going to now try to come to a decision about which bid to accept. We have a total of 5 bids. We did read them last meeting. I will defer, well, I'll just open it to discussion on the bids that we've received in terms of which we should accept.
Did Mark Pickering?
Yes.
He did answer that he saw no reason not to accept SVE's being the lowest. I did ask if you could get a hold of him to see, or Pat could, to see if he had any opinion on the second bidder, because I was aware that some folks were frustrated with how long it took SVE, and also somewhat frustrated with the fact that this thing about the telephone pole having to move kind of caught them by surprise, which it kind of shouldn't. So we have some experience with them, but it has not been an ideal experience. It hasn't been terrible, but it hasn't been ideal. So that might be a reason to go to a different group, but that it's up to the board to decide.
Did Mark say that all of them met?
He did not. It was a very brief note, and he just simply said that he did recommend the SVE, and said that, you know, it was the lowest bid and they've done good work in the past. It was very short memo.
Because we just continue.
I mean, I can read it to you literally, so it's not like my interpretation thereof. Let me see if I can find it for Mark, so that you have his input.
Well, it just seems to me that we're continuing to pay out $3,000 a month for the temporary, so the sooner we can get things.
No, we're now talking about Lynchburg. This is not the 100 Brook.
Right.
It always can, we're doing
You're
too
not
many.
the only one. Everybody, Lynchburg.
Aren't we still doing Bridgeport?
Yeah, no.
Here's what I got, and Chris got it too. Just want to let you know that Mark Pickering, this is from Pat, that he called to say he would recommend SVE because lowest bidder has worked with the town of, SVE has worked with the town of Newfane on 100 Brook Bridge and is flexible. Now, I don't know if you want, he spoke to
That's
you,
exactly.
obviously, that's
That's
literally
what he
what he...
emailed to me. He
Okay.
emailed us.
Oh, okay, so you're just passing this on
Right.
to us. So that's the information we have.
Has everybody had a chance to really in-depth look at those bids?
No.
Well,
Great.
there's a if I take you literally, have we had a chance to? Yes. Have we done so?
I meant.
Okay.
That's an important distinction.
Well, I'd make a motion, we go on Mark's suggestion, hire Southern Vermont. I mean, they were low bidders, they've got everything he wants in there as a plan, and
All right, it's been moved that we do go with
Seconded.
SVE and seconded. So that now discussion of that.
Is there some sort of way we put in the acceptance that they have so long to get this done?
There's absolutely no reason we could not. First of all, the bid is not a contract, right? We are going to have a contract with them. We had said at the pre-bid meeting that 2 months was the basic frame that they would have. We certainly can do that, and we could even, if we so chose, put in penalties for not getting it in within a period of time.
I will
I don't
publicly
know.
state my feeling, having sat down and reread every one of these bids, okay? The first thing that caught my eye was the scope of work that the bidders are saying that they will do. And in a couple of the bids, while they are higher, one of my concerns was they were clear about, look, we know this is a FEMA project, and we will move to take this through the permit process. In other words, we'll make the calls to make sure that the design that we're proposing here will pass through FEMA land. To me, that is really critical. And right now what we're doing with Hunter Brook is John and I actually had to have a meeting last week to try to see whether that proposal is acceptable. So it'd be a much easier thing, however the board wishes to do it. I personally don't care what engineer is on here. What I'd like to make sure of is whoever it is working with the scope of work and the PWs that are created for Lynch Bridge, and that the pass-through approval for FEMA goes as the design's going. We don't want to find ourselves on Lynch Bridge with, no, this doesn't meet in-kind replacement, go back to the drawing board and re-engineer this whole thing.
So we need to, when we sign the contract, SVE should be here and go over all this with them. and get them to sign a statement saying that they're gonna take care of all their.
That's right. Well, the second bidder up, their whole composite proposal is only, I think it's about $3,000 differential. And their bid packet makes it very, very clear that they are going to walk all the permits. They will make the contact with FEMA so that there isn't any issues. So
We can include that in our contract with SV, along with a time frame and penalty cost. We just gotta make sure we do that. And if they don't wanna accept it, then we take the next highest bidder,
okay.
right? I mean,
Or would it make you, I mean, to me, what Christine just said is, you know, for $3,000 more, we get somebody who's already thought this through and said, this is what we'll do.
I mean, I do see some advantages. Mark Pickering is 100% right. SVE is right around the corner.
Yeah.
They're pretty easy to work with in that way. So, I mean, I don't know the other company. I know they're not on the debarment list. I've checked that. I've kind of vetted some of the projects they've done in various states. Like I said, the one thing I'm holding tight to, because this is a FEMA project, is whoever is on this, if they're citing this, if they're engineering it, it's got to go hand in glove with the scope of work and the PW that FEMA requires here. That's
Then
it.
maybe what Todd said is, you know, we just make sure that that gets
I
hammered
think we
out
need
in
to
the...
meet with them, the select board meeting,
Yeah.
even if it's half an hour early.
Yep.
Lay all this out to them. Say this is what we expect, and then have them sign it.
Well, yeah, we're going to
Oh,
have
you'd
to
have
actually
that
have a
contract
full
in there,
contract
right.
drawn up, yeah.
No, that's what I said. Did Mark already go over that with him? I mean, that's what I'm wondering if he's contacted and went through all that. So they might not just put it in there. Saying
Well, it may be that it is in there in a different. It may be worded differently
right.
too. You know what I mean? So I won't disqualify that at all.
Should probably have Mark here at the same time.
All right,
We'll go
so,
over that at least.
well, I think part of the problem is that does Mark have problems getting here on a Thursday night?
right.
I think he often has a conflict, otherwise we would have had him here tonight,
Yeah.
as a matter of fact.
Did you get a chance to look at the bid? Okay.
All right,
Where
we
we-
do have a motion on the table, so,
And it's seconded.
and it's been seconded, so unless there's further discussion, we should vote on that motion. And just to say, if we accept the bid, then that doesn't mean we've signed a contract. In other words, we still will meet with them and make sure the contract meets with our approval and that we're all comfortable with it. Because I would not, under any conditions, want Chris to be in the position of having another one of these things that...
It's okay, John.
Yeah. No, it's not, because I get invited. I didn't mention me. It may not be, but never mind. Chris, and you know what I'm saying.
I do.
Anyway, but that there it is. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. So if we could invite SVE to come meet with us. Should this be a separate from a regular meeting? Should it be a meeting that's just set aside for that?
Might be a good idea.
And then maybe work it out with Mark Pickering so he could be here.
Yeah, let's
That'd be ideal.
If you
actually.
could, Chris, if you could talk to them and see when they could come and
what would
with
you do if
Pat.
you had somebody give them the heads up ahead of time before the meeting and let them know what you expected them to do?
Yes,
That-
yes. Well, Chris will do that. Chris will do that.
There you go.
Right, Chris,
worry.
Chris and
Yeah,
Pat.
I thought I
Chris,
heard
is,
her say
Chris
that.
is on top of it.
Yeah, I will.
You believe me?
I will.
I trust her to do the dot the i's and cross the t's. Yeah, she'll let him know. All right. Yeah, we'll spring it on him. Yeah. Hi. Yeah. Okay, that's great. Okay, thank you. The next item of business is our status on the audit and the single audit. And I'll start that one, and then a couple of things that should be, I would like to bring up. The first is just I did speak with our accountant. The thing that is really hard for them to do to wrap up 2012 is what is broadly called receivables. That is, what is the money, what have we actually spent that we expect to get reimbursed for? And what's that amount? It turns out to be not the simplest thing to do, particularly for what's called the single audit, which is a requirement that the town of Newfane has because we received more than $500,000 in grants. It's a federal requirement managed by the state. So it's difficult for him to do that because it's not a simple matter because it has to be by project, by the, as defined by FEMA. And in some cases we had multiple contractors working across projects on certain things. So it becomes a very complex process. It is due the 30th of this, 31st of this month, but I did speak with the accountant. He's very close to having it completed. And to be fair, it's not about the accountant, the auditing firm not doing its job. It's about how difficult it is for us to pull all this information together. It's very, we've never dealt with anything like this before. So we're very close to having all the information that he needs. He believes that with a meeting or two here, he probably can get the final stuff that he needs, and he believes he can have a report done, if not by the 31st, soon enough thereafter that'll be before any, before anything bad happens. There is a point in time where the government says, we're not giving you any more money because you haven't done your audit yet. But he's not concerned that we're going to reach into that category.
So John, you said due on the 31st.
Of this month.
But what's due?
The single audit is due. The single
audit coming from them to us.
From the single audit coming from the auditing firm to us, but it really goes direct to the state.
Right.
So there will be additional, he will come.
He will be here Monday,
He's
by the way.
going to be here Monday,
Yeah.
and he will go through it, and he's close, he's got it down, he's not real worried, but it's hard, it's not a simple matter, and he is what we're, if I can speak for Chris, what we're both very pleased with is he is very much on our side. This is not a matter of an auditor coming and saying, oh, you didn't do this or you didn't do this. This is a matter of the auditor saying, we got to line up these numbers and they got to match and this has to match with that and I have to be able to prove them out all the way through. And he's 100% in support of the notion that where the federal government has which it has, and the town should be aware of it, where the federal government has come and said, well, we don't really see this $100,000, and there's some cases it's that much, says there's $100,000, we don't see it's justified. He says, yes, you should fight to get that money from the government because it was legitimately spent on legitimate fraud expenses, and we have to do it, and that's what we're working to do. I'm going to give it to Chris in one moment. I just want to say the one other thing that came up in this was something that Merle, you had brought to our attention in terms of the statutes, and I did speak with our town lawyer, the Secretary of State's office, and the Assistant Secretary of State, and the Vermont League of Cities and Towns senior lawyer. And all of them said this is that essentially anyone can bring this to the Superior Court. It's a court matter. It is not a select board matter as such. Someone has to bring it, an attorney has to bring it. Normally it would be brought by an auditing firm. And the second thing is that it really isn't about this particular situation. It's in a situation where a treasurer refuses to turn over their books to the auditor. That's really where it happens. Where the auditor feels that their experience is that the treasurer is stonewalling and covering something up and won't close the books on the year. And not a case where the treasurer said, here are my books, NEMREC's open, do what you will with them. Maybe things aren't as neat as you wish they were, but it's all there for you to deal with. And so that was the advice I've been given by all those people said the same thing. So it does not appear there's something that the select board as such can take up. Certainly as an individual. I also was told if one were to try to do it before an election, it would probably be unconstitutional to try to. The law says that you can't, if you haven't done X, Y, or Z by 25 days before the election, to try to stop someone from running would be probably a violation of election law. So in our case, it's already happened. So you'd have to get a court to reverse it. That's a very unlikely scenario. So that research we did. Okay, with that said, I'd like Chris to add whatever details and coloring she might
I'll
wish.
go into the details. Okay, so following along the single audit and the audit and our books, basically in an overall situation. What really is happening here is it's not a fault. And I just want to make sure I make that very, very clear. Every single town, various different towns recently that I've talked to, some towns literally it was just so overwhelming with the amount of damage that things went into a shoebox. Some other towns, they did it completely opposite how this town did. So we're all over the map and all over the page. We did a great job on putting this town back together again. And it was coordinated, it was methodical, and actually when I look at it in a gross, it's stunning to me how much work could get done, in that short amount of time for that little money, realistically. So the problem, though, is our detailed accounting of nitpicking little ones and twos, and it is nitpicking, still has to be done. We had hoped that we might be able to do a carve-out. This was my hope, and kind of grossly manage it. It's not going to work.
Accountants don't think that
Yeah, auditors, accountants, and the government do not think that way. So there's two reasons why I'm not panicked, but I was getting a little more nervous. And the reason is, as I spoke earlier, these buyouts where the town of Newfane is essentially totally and wholly responsible for the money from start to finish amounts to another $500,000 that we're going to run through the general ledger. So this board and this town needs to have someone who has the capability of not being the treasurer, sitting aside and going, okay, I can fill in all these little nitpicking things, and make sure that going forward on these buyouts, every detail is done ahead. We're not going to be going behind and trying to capture stuff and fixing it right. Having said that, I have spoken to Merle because it seemed to me, abstractly, without politics or any personal, I don't really care about that. Merle has expressed an interest in this town to help the town, whether it was to run for treasurer. I believe he's got the capability to do this, probably could do it quickly. And I would like to make a proposal to the board that we entertain the idea of hiring Merle specifically to do what we need to do here. Encapsulate a set of books, front to back, and begin the process of putting those HMGPs into whatever format, and it's fairly prescribed on that one, how we're going to make sure we account for it. And actually, that's my motion.
But are you asking just for the HMGP and not to help with the...
No, we must, if we want to go to closeout...
So it is also for closeout.
We have to.
So it's for both. I just want to be clear.
And it would be the exact same system, realistically.
All right. So
I'm getting too much input. I hear HMGP buyouts.
But the bottom line is, the flood money that came in at $4 million ran through that general ledger, and it isn't that we don't know where it is. They want it so fine-tuned, they want it right down to a material list on the date and the time and the cubic yards. We will never go back and get it quite that refined, but they want it that refined on a ledger sheet, period, end of story. They're going to run the single audit because they can, but they still want that bookwork. Now,
we also have to think about, there are multiple things here.
Yeah.
Let me see if I
Right.
can explain it as clearly as possible. HMGP is one thing going forward where we know where we need to learn from our experience, and we need to proactively now make sure every dollar gets put in the right bucket, so when it comes time to reporting,
right.
boom, we push a button and boom, there it is, you got what you need, federal government, don't bother us. We spent all the money, here's how we spent it, you pay us back. That make it as simple as possible. That's one. The second thing is, in terms of completing the audit work, which has multiple purposes. One is to get us through this specific single audit thing. It's also, we know 3 or 4 years from now, the feds could come back. There is an auditing wing of FEMA that now comes back through and looks at, and we've been told we would be a candidate for that because we got a lot, relatively speaking, we got a lot of damage, as we all know. So we also we don't want to leave the board 4 years from now stuck with, or the town stuck with, oh my God, now they come back through and say this is no good and that's no good. So we'd like to have things as clean and clear as they can possibly be. And so we also do have, just for sake of, we do have $2,000, which is not a heck of a lot, and if we go above that, we have to bid it out anyway. But we do have $2,000 set aside for auditing support or accounting support to the select board to help us know really where we stand. And in this case, this seems a particularly urgent. I'm just speaking for myself, think it's a particularly urgent need. So what we need is a motion.
I'd like to make one other point.
Go ahead.
So that, because
There's another, you added another piece here,
Okay.
as in all closeouts. Are we talking all closeouts or only closeouts?
I want to clarify that I can see your. Okay, so
Okay.
let me be clear. The money that is already run through the general ledger, the issue with the entire audit process is that wasn't tightened up enough in terms of, like I said, literal cubic yards to Adams Hill and Baker Brook and every other thing, okay? It's grossly done. We don't see any major problems at this point. That's why the auditors are saying, look, we'll manage this. Going forward, we don't just have $500,000 going through on the buyouts. We have 2 bridges that we're building. So I would expect to see at least $1.2 million running through that general ledger soon. And I don't want it going through there unless I have a really good person qualified to make sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed before it happens. We won't make the mistake again. And it wasn't a mistake because there was no way to know. And you wouldn't have been able to handle it much differently anyway.
We really were between a rock and a hard
So we're going to mop up,
But it looks
and
as
go
though
forward.
You're suggesting that we have a second person into our whole accounting program.
Well, no, we can't. Let's try to distinguish a little bit. No one is suggesting that Merle's going to do something that is in place of Maureen's doing things.
okay.
The books are the treasurer's, and no one is
That's her
authorized to
responsibility.
touch Nemrick on a write basis, writing, putting in entries into. Though what we do want to get some advice from our accountants and so on is what categories we need to create, because we do know part of the reason why things, not the main reason, but a part of the reason is we did not keep money segregated,
Allocated correctly.
into individual things clearly enough when everything was going on. How we would have done it, I have no idea.
So when Dan and Shannon were doing all of that paperwork, I mean, I guess I have a hard time picturing. Are we asking for an Excel spreadsheet to be done that would then clarify that Adams Hill got this many
It's like- it's-
things of gravel
Yeah,
from?
but we're really asking for auditing support. Chris is really handling this,
Oh,
and
I
she
know.
needs some auditing, some accounting support. So we're asking for authorization from the select board that she get that that accounting support from
One of
her.
the problems that came about, from what I understand, is, say, Fitzpatrick's, A.S. Clark, and Sons, whatever, might have done 3 different projects for us.
Right.
When Maureen paid it, she paid one check for 3 different projects. So now we got to go back and figure out, we got to break that check down.
So we want to separate it out.
It's actually in the thing that you're thinking of. Those papers literally need to be moved from the file drawer into an Excel spreadsheet if that's what you want.
But I'm just saying, wouldn't that
Yes.
be something clear? Because we can't go back and create categories
Right.
and remember it for.
Right,
Right.
we
But
have a
going
mechanism
forward,
for doing
we
the past, but going forward, we want that to be exactly, so it'll go
We gotta
easy
make
at that
check
point.
balance the 3 projects that they
Yeah.
did. That's what the auditors want to see.
Yeah.
And-
So going backwards with an Excel spreadsheet, going forwards, it may be in fact separate line items in
Well, and
the
it-
budget. Doris?
So what you're saying though too, for those, Maureen writes a check for whatever, you didn't have categories at that time
Right.
to segregate it, or when she got
By
the bill,
project.
Right.
Right.
she didn't know.
She didn't know. She
She
knew.
didn't know
She
the
just knew
difference.
Renault is charging X thousands of
Right.
dollars, and then we
And I know that,
authorized it,
yeah,
and
FEMA wants
she
the
paid.
breakdown.
Yeah, well, in deference, I mean, I've been through these. You know, I've been through all these
Right.
records. I've talked to, in deference to this, when you look at what was actually happening, okay, FEMA was not clear. While they said to you, and if we give you any money here, you will be wholly and totally accountable. Well, we understood that. I don't think the manner in which we have it is one way to do it, and it's fine, but it's not, it won't comply with an auditor. They can't follow.
Yeah. And-
So,
and-
The
we just
projects
gotta
all
get these
broke
met.
down,
Right.
as far as quantities and hours and all that stuff. But the
Yeah.
checks weren't broke down
So-
the same way just because she didn't have it that way.
She didn't. Yeah.
They didn't give it to her that way.
Yeah, they
Right.
didn't.
I
They
mean,
didn't.
I've been through flood things here.
Yeah.
too, so-
Yeah.
And I think FEMA's changed the rules since when
Oh.
I did too.
Well, they changed the
every
rules a
day.
few times in the middle. So, so do we have a can we have a motion to, that all we really need is a motion that we do authorize the hiring of, it's not really hiring, but the use of Merle for as needed basis at, I believe, $20 an hour. Is that the amount that you asked for? $20 an hour. And really essentially under Chris's supervision as she sees fit to get this work done.
Now, that's up to $2,000.
Up to
I'll be the
$2,000.
foreman, but under the supervision of the board.
Of the board, really, yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
in case.
yeah, good. Okay. Well said.
Thank you.
Well said. Okay. Okay, I can't move it, so.
All right, move it. I'll
He-
move it.
He's moved it. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Was there any abstention?
No.
Doris wanted to
Where's the
abstain.
$2,000 come from?
Me.
We have to.
It's coming from you. I'm sorry. Doris, do you have a check? We'll take
Let me
cash.
write it out right now.
No, it's in the budget, actually.
For this year?
Yes, oh.
See, that's
Yes.
just
Well,
That's why I'm asking.
oh, you're
That's
right.
why I'm
You're
asking.
right.
It's
We
not
have
this year.
2,000. Wait a second. When did we? That doesn't start till July.
first.
1st.
Right.
But we'll figure it out. I'll figure the line. I'll figure what line
Yeah,
item it
Maria,
is.
she-
We need it. It's
Yeah.
really.
Oh, I'm not saying that you don't need it, but I
Yeah,
would.
you're a good point. I'm thinking. You're absolutely right. I'm
You never
thinking
want
as
to
of
be
July
these
1st. That's yeah. I still can't quite get the year. You know, that
Yeah, I
March 6th. This happens. Anyway, all right. So we have a motion. I thank you, and it's passed actually. So I think that concludes. Except our administrative assistant
Well, wait a
report.
minute.
We didn't vote on it.
We didn't vote.
we did.
No, we were going to.
No, you
Doris
did.
cut you off. 'cause you
No,
wanted
that
to
was
say-
we voted.
no, they
We
voted.
voted. It was
No,
after
you
the vote.
voted.
It was after the vote.
We voted to have Doris pay it.
Yeah, that's right. Doris, where's her check? Unfinished business none. We do have our administrative assistant report, and that is the last item of
Okay,
business.
and I apologize, it's a little lengthy, and I'm not gonna read everything, but the excess weight permits, I gave out 15 in the past month, and the list is on there and what type of excess weight permits they are and who they are and when they were given. Williamsville Hall Committee update. I did receive an email from Mike Levine including all the names of the people that wanted to serve on the Williamsville Committee. Steve Levine.
Yes, Steve.
Yeah, Steve Levine. He's
You got it,
chairman.
right?
Marcia Highland is secretary. Jean Bailey, Myra Fassler, Dan Kenoy, John Julian, Phyllis Vandell, and Nancy Reese.
Okay.
Letters of acceptance went out to each of those members. I do have a lot of them that come back. The appointment for committees, over 45 letters of acceptance were mailed out for the committee members last week. Nearly half of those have been returned to me. The town service officer appointment for 2013 of Barbara Williams was faxed to AFSA Sultana at Economic Services Division. That was a requirement. And traffic violation training, tracking training. Maureen and I will be attending that training class on March 27th at 1 p.m. at the Wyndham County Sheriff's Department. Marilyn Dessenberg will be working with other area towns to learn how to track money. Okay, and that's on the speeding violations. That's how we're going to track money back for the town. The basic emergency plans, operations plan, a 22-page document was completed this week and will be sent back to Dinah Reed, Assistant Planner for the Wyndham Regional Commission, following the signing of John Mack, Select Chair, which he did tonight. VLCT workshop offer. I would like to ask the Select Board to allow that I attend a workshop for small towns on Select Board Institute 2 on April 30 in Rutland, Vermont. It is a Saturday. It is designed for newly elected and seasoned members and staff members who report to the Select Board. And that's this form, and the deadline for registration is April 5th.
No,
And Mike may possibly be interested in that.
Yeah, I mean, there's also, Mike, for either of you, there's also, I have here somewhere a different organization. I'm not familiar with them, but it's something possibly to look into. I have this same thing. I guess we should have a motion, but I don't know if it requires one. We might as well, but we do encourage Pat to sign up for that, because we have a motion to that effect.
Isn't that part of?
I think it's part of parcel of your training, so I just think the consensus of the board is certainly that that's a positive thing.
You want a motion?
Yeah, I just have a question though. Go ahead and do a motion.
We could have an motion, why not? It doesn't hurt.
I make a motion that we authorize Pat to go ahead do this meeting.
If he wants to.
And Mike,
And Mike.
If he wishes. And there's a second one you could both either look at and see if you're interested in it.
Okay.
Second it.
Been moved and seconded, now about discussion?
My question is Pat a member of the organization?
We're a member of the town of Newfane is a member, so
But they have members and non-members fees.
I assume that's based on the town.
Council members.
Yeah,
The town
she's
is a
fine.
member.
Mike too.
I think it would be very beneficial to Mike if you can. I know some working schedules might not be, but if you can, and I certainly encourage. Anyway, that's Mike.
Yeah, and then my question is, do we have to approve Mike's going? Or as a select board member, can't he just choose to go?
He can, absolutely, and we've done that in the
And
past. He doesn't,
just
we
sign
don't,
up
we,
and-
even Pat, I don't know if we really truly need to approve. It's really just to, put a little dot on the I, but it's really not. It is part and parcel of business as usual to say you can go.
Because it's over $100, I believe.
Yeah, I don't think we have a strict policy on that, but what we did say is, whenever we spend, I don't think it is over 100 actually. that when we spend money, it's just better to tell each other at the very least and keep it open.
Oh, that's right, it's
Right, so we-
$60.
I think we have a motion on the table. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay, I just want to check whether I have any further. I do have one quick report, which is simply that I discussed with our town attorney. You may recall I was asked to ask about a couple things, and I did, and basically the bottom line was that no action was to be taken on them. And so that was the end of that.
I have one little
Okay,
thing. It's the Williamsville Hall.
okay,
Went in there, checked it out today. The heat's been only heating the bathroom and the kitchen, and it's used over half tank of fuel.
really?
It's a
So
lot of
something's
fuel.
wrong there, because
Well, no,
you
it's
had,
the building is just, it's the way it's been.
Drafty.
That's why we had always shut it down until like April before, so we didn't have to run it so much.
well, the other thought is, remember, we did put into the budget for next year weatherization, not weatherization, but money for Williamsville Hall. We bumped that up to, what, 10,000? I don't quite, was it just a 5? I can't remember. I
That's
think-
right, there's a Williamsville Hall one, and then we had the 5 in capital.
I see. So there's a Williamsville Hall stench. We should really revisit that because
It's
it
used way too much
is,
fuel.
I see, just think it's just simply seeping out the windows is what's
And
happening.
you've got a talent show over there this weekend, so that, trying to heat that main hall up. Then you've got another meeting, I guess, Tuesday. I mean, I can see the rest of that fuel going out the window.
Well, I
I would
do,
I would almost encourage people to use like the firehouse or the school this time of year. Keep that thing shut right down as much as we can.
Yeah.
yeah, because I checked the minutes, and we did say we were gonna keep that closed until April 1st, so.
We had to open it for town meeting,
Well,
but
I do
but
understand that.
it's something to keep in mind for next year.
Okay.
Oh, we don't have town meeting there next year.
Okay. But still, we should, we.
Somebody's got to come with us
Till we-
first anyways,
yeah.
but it's not heating the way it should anyways. But
Okay. But we really should try to figure out how to get it weatherized would be the real.
And I remember too, when I went to that energy efficiency meeting, and I talked to the person from Thermal House, and he just said, Williamsville Hall is just like horrible.
So that, I think at the very least, maybe that what I would like to do is at least call Steve Levine and say, have they looked into what it is, where the worst part, trying to get that building somewhat weatherized. What are
it's
the
insulation or something.
As the same way we have a town hall, we formed a committee to help with the town hall. We really need Williamsville Hall to get on the stick to try to give us a proposal so that we can look at something. Okay, so I will do that.
You will, John.
I will.
Because, John, that really is a town building.
It is,
So
absolutely.
essentially, for us to say, I trust you're not saying it sits on the Williamsville Hall Committee to
Well,
do that.
they're not to do it, but to just as there is a town committee to help us with town offices, the Williamsville Hall Committee, is that not their, that not
Well,
in their
I
purview?
would talk to him.
It's just a conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not about to tell them what to do. I'm just
Yeah.
starting the conversation. Okay. Okay, I believe I do not have any new correspondence, so I believe that concludes our regular agenda. We will need to go into executive session for an employee matter, but we do not have any further town. I want to thank everyone from the public for coming.
Good night.
All right.
Pleasure.
And if you believe that one,
So, do we need to,
I move that we go into executive session
you have to say for employment.
for an employee matter.
Okay. It's been moved, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are now, we
Do
will
we-
take a 2-minute pause while.